Well, good morning, everybody, to you who's joining us from the United States and North America. Hello to everyone in Europe, and good evening or good afternoon to those of you in Asia and elsewhere. It's great to welcome you today to our webcast, which is part of an ongoing series and based on the research that we've been doing into next generation HR. How is HR evolving? How is it changing to adapt to so much business change, transformation, disruption? So today I'm really, truly, genuinely excited to have with us a guest from JTI, Sergey Polyansky, and he is the Global Agile Operations Lead in their HR function, which is called People and Culture. Sergey is going to share with us some of their journey into Agile. So welcome, Sergey.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Marion, and hello to everyone.
So first of all, just to introduce myself, I'm Marion Devine. I'm a senior researcher in human capital. I'll be your moderator for today. And just to go through a few basic sort of housekeeping things for the webcast, so some information about today's platform. So please do ask questions as they occur to you via the chat box at the bottom left of your screen. And I will weave them in as best I can. And I've already said to Sergey, is he happy to do that? So if you do want to give some questions, and if I can see an opportunity to give them to Sergey, I certainly will. And we'll follow up on email if there are any questions left at the end of the hour. You can move to full screen by clicking the four arrows at the top right of the screen. If you're doing continuing education credits, these are being awarded for this webcast. And just for you to remember that to be eligible, you do need to be logged on for the duration of the webcast. And of course, during that time, you'll be asked to click on links as they appear. And as always, we ask, at the end, there will be a very brief evaluation sheet. We do really find them useful. We do look at them. And so I do invite you to just give us some feedback about today's program. And of course, share this program webcast with your colleagues on demand, and it will be on our webcast very soon after that. So it's now with great pleasure that I would like to move to Sergey. So Sergey Polyansky is the Global Agile Operations Lead, which is a very exciting title, Sergey. So I know you're going to tell us a little bit about that role. And he's working in the People and Culture function of JTI International. And as you can see from his bio, Sergey has been in a variety of roles in JTI. So I think that's really interesting that he's now in Agile, but he's been in IT, HR, talent management, learning. So it sounds like you have definitely got around the HR function, Sergey, and it'll be interesting to see if that's been useful for you in your current role. And we're going to now cover basically JTI's own journey into Agile. And so we're going to sort of understand the wider structure, the wider sort of context, and then we're going to zoom in a little bit more to the actual operational detail of what they're doing. And Sergey's also very kindly shared some lessons learned along the way and continuing to be learned. But I think I just want to sort of say that in the context of the research that we're doing into the next generation HR, we've really seen a huge interest of HR in Agile. And I think, though, that it's not just for Agile's sake, but it is also that HR is just working in a very much more customer-centric and fluid way. And that's where Agile seems to fit into that context. And I think, Sergey, just starting with you, really, I think that you'll agree that your interest as a company is not just for Agile or Agile's sake, or even for HR transformation for the sake of HR. So can you tell us a little bit about the context of how you've started your journey?
Exactly. Thanks so much, Marion, for wonderful introduction. And of course, I'm more than happy to talk about our agile journey, which is not specifically for HR. It is a business transformation. I have a couple of slides, so maybe I'll just go through them. And to give you more context, I think it first makes sense to introduce the company because I guess not many people know JTI as like three letters, but I guess most of people know our brands. JTI stands for Japan Tobacco International. It's the third largest tobacco company with such brands as Camel, Winston, Mevius, Legido, Cut, and others. It is also known as Gallagher in the UK with some quite known UK brands, and then they have all kind of variety of tobacco-related products. You could see the numbers here on the slide. We're 55,000 employees with 400 offices, seven countries, 27 factories, and 10 billion revenue. And it is a business, of course, which is in transformation. I think many many segments of businesses are affected by modern trends, and tobacco is not an exception. And as you can imagine, we are much hit by changing habits of smoking, electronic cigarettes, and all kind of new developments in this area. It's a little bit like car industry, which is changing from traditional cars into electric cars. And can you imagine electronic cigarettes versus traditional cigarettes from HR, from talent management perspective? It means that we need to have completely new set of leaders, new skill set. Those people who knows like cheap accumulators, batteries, and not only how to grow tobacco leaves. Yeah, and that's why we realize that in order to remain being successful and in order to grow, we need to have business transformation. And for us, agility was part of the business transformation journey. That's our headquarters in Geneva, and it's actually like one of the transformation principles because we wanted to design something like new and modern, and agility is also like one of the elements which affects like office designs, open space, etc., etc. Yes, so for us the context of agile was business transformation, and HR was one of the elements where we looked at it.
I think, Sergey, as well, it's interesting that HR is helping to lead the 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 the, um, the movement towards agile. Often functions, support functions, can be dragged kicking and screaming, and often, the business has started that transformation. So how come you are sort of helping to lead?
It's true. For us, transformation journey was a project run between GTI and McKinsey, and we selected several corporate functions to start piloting Agile, and HR was one of those. Why HR? Because when we talk about agility, I think we talk much about culture change and leadership behaviors and new organizational design. That's why HR happened to be on the forefront. Yeah, it's probably not the function which you would by default see as the most agile, but we thought in GTI, why not to take HR as one of the pilot functions to make it more agile, but also make it like as a culture change driver. And that's a little bit what I mean how we went to that journey.
And I think, the fact that you're already talking about culture, I think that this is, an important probably message again of your journey, and what we've seen in some of our other member companies, that agile is to talk about agile just as a methodology is actually quite limited. And certainly if you go and talk to someone like the Scrum Alliance, that the whole point about agile is that it has a mindset and a set of principles, this thing of individuals and interactions over processes and tools, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So, on the their website, you will see some of those principles. So just share with us, Sergey, what is your understanding of agile?
Thanks for the good question. And it's very true that when we talk about agile is a kind of buzzword, right? Everybody speaks about agility and everybody understands different things. And if you go to a conference, you will hear lots of things about agile, and it might come from culture, from the diversity perspective, from leadership, from behaviors, from all kind of elements. For us, being practical, the first element is really what is written on this slide. It's people to value. It's about focusing on what really matters, like making sure that we have strategic prioritization in everything, and then that we also change delivery model, that we really deliver efficiently. And this is where all this like scrums and kanbans they come to the picture, making sure that we really work on projects on the important things with right efficiency. And for us, maybe this slide can also help to answer your question a little bit in the more details, because when we talk about Agile and GTI, we talk about several elements. We talk about technology, and here we talk about some software, Trail, ServiceNow, Jira, all kind of platforms that support agility. We talk about people, so new type of people that have agile mindset, and you will see slides to give a little bit more about what kind of profiles we look, as well as agile leadership, what it means to be agile leader, agile organizations with like flat structure, with agile operations, with pool concept. We talk about processes. Processes are about like strategic prioritization, adjusting things more quickly, and ultimately, of course, it goes to the vision. Yeah, so that we want to become more agile as an organization. So that's how we understand agility.
Mm. And so, in terms of, sort of the scale, would you say then that your whole kind of operating model is going very much towards agile teams or projects? How would you describe it now?
For us, it's about two models, and here on this slide you will see variety of models of agility. It's really spectrum of different types of agility that organizations adopt, and you could see examples of companies that adopt the different types of agility. So for JTI, we talk about two elements. We talk about agile operations or agile pools. That is also called talent to value. This is when there is dynamic staffing. There is a pool of people, we call this agile pool or agile team, that is working on all kind of strategic projects that is addressed to this pool. And they are fast and agile enough to change their specialization as needed. It's a little bit like internal consultancy for finance, for legal, for marketing, a pool of consultants that can make things very quickly. And the second element that we are leveraging is about cross-functional teams and cross-functional projects. When we have an important project, let me take maybe example of designing new model for global headcount and cost reporting. It's a little bit about HR, but it's not HR because it's about HR, it's about finance, but it's also about like transformation. So we bring people from these teams working together in an agile way to design this and to make this what we call MVP, minimal viable product. So two elements we're talking about. And talking about agile teams, that's probably most tangible because we changed organizational structures in several functions, including HR, to design these agile operations. And our approach was to start with several pilot corporate functions from Geneva. Why corporate? Because we wanted HQ to be an example, to be a role model for locations. And also HQ is where we have scope, yeah, because we have scale, we have bigger functions, and we also wanted to get some optimization. And then as we become more mature, the same model is going to be stretched to locations, to the market.
Great. And do you, on that slide, there's self-managing teams. Are your teams self-managing? Because again, I think some people feel that self-managing teams are quite tricky to manage. How do you define a self-managing team?
For us, self-management team is really about making team more empowerment. Not that we have specific mechanisms for this. We have organizations which become much flatter. For example, like in my agile team, I have 29 people, like we're 29 altogether, and 28 people they report directly to me, so we don't have interim managers. And obviously, I cannot micromanage even if I wanted, right? I couldn't I couldn't manage very closely each of these 28 people, and we made it intentionally so that the teams feel that they're more self-empowerment. And my role is here is more like to be a servant leader to address and to resolve the impediments and like remove any obstacles that they have, but not really just like to manage each single individual and really making sure that this team is self-organized and self-empowerment. And then all processes such as performance management, feedback to each other, they follow, they promote it. They promote the concept that the team should be independent and they should be able to provide feedback to each other and they are responsible, not one single individual, but it's a team performance.
Thank you, Sergey. I think someone is typing a question which might be related on this, so if they are, I will read that in. Um, Lovely. And Sergey, you've mentioned a couple of times strategic prioritization. Here it is. So one comment is that, okay, I think this is a great question. It's interesting that you have so many direct reports. Some companies are moving to 5 to 11 span of control. And do you have any comment about what is the larger size span that's perhaps the most effective?
It's really difficult to say. It's question of self-organization of a team because in my team we have 28 people reporting to me, and we have number of projects that we need to deliver in parallel. So in reality, we are subdividing into smaller, we call them stable teams, yeah, stable like sellers, like cells that work on specific projects. And normally this would be between like 4 and 10 people in each cell. But this is dynamic organizations, and there is no one manager over there. Yes, there is somebody who is a product owner, there is somebody who is a scrum master, but the team decides themselves how they want things happen. And when the project is finished, then the team can be reorganized, and then we make another setup. Yeah, and that's how we increase efficiency. That's a little bit like what allows me to manage these 28 people, because at the end I probably don't manage each person individually, but I rather manage stable teams, projects, and once in a while I have catch-ups with everyone. But yes, there is a challenge, of course.
And I think, when you talk about self-managed teams and that there are different types of project going on, so how do you make sure that everybody is moving in the right direction? You mentioned strategic prioritization. How does
Yeah.
that work?
I'll show maybe in a couple of my next slides, zooming in our Agile operations, how it works in JTI. And I specifically will use HR example, people and culture example, because that's where I come from. So what it really means for us. First of all, the structure. You see the structure has been changed as part of transformation. If you talk about our corporate HR, so HR that is based in Geneva in headquarters, we have several strategy pillars. You could see talent, rewards, D&I. So these are those pillars that drive our strategic agenda in specific areas. And they have some experts, but the number of those experts is relatively limited. Then we have several strategic business partners that take care of big accounts, finance, marketing, R&D. So this is like standalone senior individuals that work with market and functional management to address their specific requirements. Then we have on the right-hand side global business services, which is shared service, and on the left-hand side we have my team, which is agile operations. And the structure looks like this: that intentionally, that strategists they shape demand, business partners they also shape demand from functions, and it is all addressed to my team to make it happen. So I'm all on supply side, and we play the role of internal consultancy to address all things. But as you can imagine, in order to make it happen, we need to have strategic prioritization, yeah, because we cannot have it all. We have limited capacity, and we need to be transparent. And this is where the idea of talent to value comes to the picture, because what we really do is, as agile operations, we take care of like all innovations. We, for example, this are ready to make some researches for some new projects, new trends, and give some recommendations to strategy. We're responsible for all solutions development, so for strategic projects, for rollout of these projects, what we call global delivery. And also in our scope is people partnering for our global headquarters and verticalized functions. Here we're talking about like over 4,000 people. So all requests from strategic business partners, they come to us, and day-to-day operation is also part of my team job. So in order to make it happen, we really need to have the strategic prioritization. Sorry, and this let's probably use this still back the slides about strategic prioritization, because how it really works, it is about regular meetings that we have at the level of leadership, and that's why intentionally the organization is flat, and I report directly to head of our HR, so that we are all at the same level. And at least once a quarter we have discussion about all the projects that we have, and we confirm what is most important and what is most urgent, and what kind of projects can wait. And there are two criteria. There is like one big criteria which is about business value, whether it supports strategy, whether it's global, what kind of added value it really brings. And the second criteria is about feasibility. Is it really urgent? Can it wait? Is it super complex? What is implementation risks? And based on this, we try to select what we can implement first. It's like a
And
big
who is we in that, Sergey? Who is involved in this strategic prioritization?
It's a leadership team, so it's head of HR, head of people culture, so senior VP for people and culture, then strategy heads, talent rewards, D&I, strategic business partners, and myself.
Okay.
And we have these reviews all together.
And before you sort of go into the detail, looking at this structure, and someone's asked a question about staying close to people development. I think we'll look at that when we zoom in a little bit more to detail. But looking at this culture, I mean, would I be wrong to think, okay, those three strategic pillars of talent, rewards, and D&I, those are just they are the traditional centers of excellence. Is that what
Yes,
they are?
yes,
Yeah.
to some extent. And they're responsible to shape demand. They're responsible to shape strategy, but they're normally not responsible to implement solutions. So they identify a problem and then they give problem to us and we work together with them to identify the best solution to address this problem.
So are most of the HR people in your people and culture, are they mostly in the agile pool?
That's a big part, yes, because if you talk about talent, for example, we're talking about 6, 7 people. Rewards is about the same. Diversity and inclusion, we're talking about 2, 3 people. They have some additional support from shared services, from global business services, because you see, as under global business services, there are two elements. One is transactional, which is more transactional activities, but there is one element which we call knowledge, and they are more like center of expertise. Because if there are some activities which are recurring and which require knowledge, generating analytics, working on some programs which are recurring, then they support strategies to make it happen. But when it is something really new that needs to be developed with design thinking, with consulting, then it's agile that takes care of it. And
And in,
sometimes we can involve people from global business services. Sometimes we can involve people in with strategy. So we work all together, but we shape a team around this stuff.
but does this again, does this structure represent different career paths for people in people and culture? You know, do you either go sort of into the agile pool or you become more of a an expert, functional expert in the agile?
Yeah, we call them T profile and M profile. T stands because it's like one leg, yeah. And the idea is that actually, if you work in functional expertise in GBS, or if you work in strategy, you probably would be T expert. You would be very good in global rewards, or you would be very good in learning and development. If you work in agile, you would be M experts. M experts because they have several legs, yeah? It means that we try to bring people who are multi-skilled. Maybe we will be less deeper expert in one specific areas, but we will know more about like not only global rewards, but global rewards and talent and diversity and career path and development for agile is really about getting this like broader knowledge, yeah? Rather than only deep in one area. And that's actually how we can attract people because we use this as a learning opportunity for people to grow. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so should we now sort of pull I don't know if you're going to talk about people development, Sergey, but do you want
Yeah.
to answer the question about how do you stay close to people development needs and performance in this setup? Because obviously you've already said that you have a very large team, and to some extent they have to be self-managed. I know that the focusing on career development can be very, very difficult. And we have a one member company that shared that, you know, actually they talk about it, but in practice it doesn't get done and people are constantly changing projects and it is something that's overlooked. So how do you deal with this?
It's a good question. How it works? First of all, if you talk about career development for agile, we try not to make it related to position, but more related to individual and skills of individual. Because can you imagine that you are in the pool? It means that you can be involved in various projects and organization is fluid. So you're not taking specific role. You rather bring specific skills and you develop the skills further, and then your skills are leveraged. That's why career progression within agile is also linked to skills. We have 4 levels. We have one level which is learning, another level which is proficient, then advanced, mastery. And it is also linked to seniority of people. If you're at learning level, then you are at associate specialist level. Then we have 2 levels of managers, proficient and advanced. And if you're mastery level, then you become director. And this is actually how we can make also matching of career progression in agile organization and not agile, because parts of GTI are not agile, and they have also managers, directors, so we need to make it aligned. So we have a skills map. We identified skills that we need in the team, and we evaluate twice a year how people gain the skills. We have review as a team, which is myself, which is several representatives of Agile team, and which are also development sponsors. Who are development sponsors? It is linked to Agile performance management, which is another, I would say, innovation for us. We decided for Agile team to introduce new Agile performance management without any ratings. It means that after each project, or at least once a quarter, team members give feedback to each other, how they work as a team. putting comments and also making some comments against our global flagship behaviors, our standard behaviors. And because there are 28 people and I cannot make evaluation of all those people only myself, just because it physically becomes difficult for me, we agreed that each agile individual would have specific development sponsor assigned. Development sponsor is a senior individual, normally from strategy pillars. So it might be like head of talent, or maybe one of senior experts in talent, or rewards, or D&I, or some of the strategic business partners. And each of them are taking 2 to 3 people, and they play the roles of independent mentors. So what they do, they collect that agile performance management. They sit with individuals and discuss this agile performance management. They can also ask feedback from various stakeholders, how this person performs. They can discuss career aspirations, and then twice a year we have talent review. And for talent review, it's development sponsor and myself who introduce this individual, because I'm a line manager. I see it from operational perspective, and I also see day-to-day performance of the individual. And development sponsor is somebody who is neutral, who is like a senior mentor, who talked to the person, who collected feedback, and then we both discuss with other development sponsors, with the talent review group, what is performance potential and development options for this individual. So that's actually how performance management and career progression is organized.
Excellent. Thank you, Sergey. That's a great answer. We have another question as well about the role of HRBPs. And again, in our research, we're seeing that companies are changing the role. They're often making it a much smaller cadre of very senior people working perhaps closely with the business. But the question that I have here is, actually several questions have all suddenly come in. So the question is, so BPs only partner into other functions, not business areas, is that right? And the question then is this because they're working in an agile way and therefore partnering to the business can't take place in this way? So tell us a little bit more about
As part of business partners, we changed that approach, because especially in Geneva, we used to have quite a few business partners, around 25, and they were quite granular. So somebody was responsible for IT, then somebody was responsible for part of finance and another part of finance. And now we decided to optimize the structure, making it more agile. So we have limited number of strategic business partners. I think we're talking about 5 people, and they are at the level of vice presidents, and they normally combine big functional accounts, for example, finance, but also regions. So it might be, for example, I'm responsible for Western Europe region, and I'm also responsible for finance, and I'm only one person. So in reality, I am strategic account to executive committee, to the board, and to the leadership team of a function. But then day-to-day operation and requests from employees, they go to GBS. But if you need to have people face, if you need to deal with sensitive issues, then it goes to Agile. And in my team, from these 29 people, I have some people who are more designated to the project. And I have around 11 people, which is pool of people partners. It's a kind of one of my stable teams. And they apply methodologies such as Kanban to look at all the tickets, all the requests, and deal with employees. And they don't have they have specialization. So somebody knows finance better, somebody knows IT better, somebody knows legal, but they don't have like 100% functional allocation. And that's how we can also get some economies on scale. If IT needs more resources because they go through restructuring, then the team can self-organize and they can say, okay, so 3 people will be working for this task with IT. If another day legal needs more support, then like more people partners would be assigned to work with legal. And I'm not managing this. They have like one coordinator, which is a rotational role. We call this like backlog owner, the person who manages demand and works with these people partners. But generally speaking, the team self-organizes themselves, like what is the post priority, and the demand comes from employees, from their request, but demand might also comes from strategic business partners if they receive something from the board, from strategic accounts.
Great, thank you, Sergey. The questions are absolutely piling in, and I think there's an awful lot of interest around managing this. Very good,
It's a good sign,
A lot of interest around how you manage and reward the Agile team. But before we start drilling down, because I know you are going to talk about that, there is one question going back to the business priorities. You were saying that you classify different projects. So one of the questions is, does the business criteria include organizational initiatives aimed at developing best-in-class employee experience? And again, in our research, we've seen a big shift towards designing HR solutions around EX. Or are they pure business imperatives?
It's more linked to functional strategy, that we understand what is the ambition of people and culture, which is of course centered around employees. Yeah. But we try to be more focused. So what we really want to achieve, what are the pain points, and how this specific project addresses these pain points, and to what extent this project supports the functional strategy. And then whether this project is global, regional, or local, because we can support one market. If you need to open a factory in the UK and hire people and organize structure, we will do it. But if there is a global project, then probably the global project would be classified a little bit like higher, yeah, because it has global impact. So yes, employee experience is important, but I wouldn't say that we only look at employee experience. Yeah, it's like one of the factors for considering projects and for strategic
Lovely,
priorities.
thank you. And there's one final question on your structure before we start really drilling down. And the question is, where does recruitment fall in your organization? Is it part of talent or global business services?
Global business services. And I think maybe linked to this, I see there is one more point. There was one more question which is related. What was the rationale of having people partners in Agile rather than GBS? Whatever can be done remotely is done by GBS, and recruitment is done by GBS. That's why it's not done by Agile. But we position Agile as like high-level consultants and those people that need to be sitting in Geneva. It was another question where Agile is sitting. Agile is sitting in Geneva in headquarters. And we understand that it's expensive location. It's also, we selected the best people, to be honest. So we don't want to make them purely operational. And that's why Agile deals with requests, people partnering requests that require physical presence. There might be less pleasant requests if you need to let somebody go and you need to talk to individual. It might be some maybe sensitive issues. It might be requests when you really need to talk to individuals, like conflict management, development discussion, career conversations, coaching, like guiding of employees. That's where we step into this role. Yeah. But
Great. Okay, Sergey, I think it's time to move on now to start drilling
whatever is more operational and
start
whatever
talking
can
about
be
roles
done
and
outside
skills.
the
And I will
Geneva,
weave in
yes.
some of these other questions around how you run your team.
Okay. Thank you. I think we discussed the scope, so that these are 4 quadrants that Agile is working on. So innovation, solution development, global delivery, and people partnering. So these 4 areas that we discussed. And you could see that we put our strategy and strategic pillars in the middle, like global reward, talent management, diversity, and inclusion. Yes, employee experience is important, but in reality, it's very much linked to the strategy. And for us, it's much about understanding the needs, making it happen, deploying, and then moving to operations. But operations, we try to move to GBS, yeah, because it becomes more operational, and as long as it can be done outside headquarters, outside Geneva, we move it to global business services. In terms of operational methods, there are plenty of operational methods that Agile leverages. To make it easier, I would suggest that like 3 are probably most practical from our standpoint. One is about design thinking, is when there is like a problem and you want to have brainstorming and engage various stakeholders to understand customer needs, to challenge assumptions, to identify potential solutions. So that's design thinking. Another methodology which we use a lot is about Scrum. That's for projects with shorter cycles, with like sprints and sprint planning, sprint reviews, sprint retros. So that's typical Scrum management, which works well for project, but it doesn't work well for day-to-day tasks. And especially if you talk about people partners, there are less projects. It's more like day-to-day tasks that they receive. And here where we use Kanban. Kanban is like Japanese Japanese process, Japanese concept framework, which is very much task oriented and moving things through production. Like you receive a ticket, it's opening, you also like manage throughput, you manage work in
I
progress,
think it's
and
really
that's a
interesting that
mindset
you've
which we are
got down
also
at the bottom of
changing.
the
Let's
slide,
be
and
more
I hope
efficient,
people
let's
can
be
read it,
customer
that you've said
centric,
best for.
and let's break it
So
down.
you said
Those like three
design thinking is
methods
best for
which way.
innovation, early solution delivery stages. Scrum is best for solution development, global delivery. Kanban is best for global delivery tasks, people, partnering. Is this something that you kind of
Yeah.
received from experts in these methodologies, or is this something that you've actually found yourself as you've tried them out?
I think both, because as it always happens, we first heard something from McKinsey, then we made some reference visits, some companies that became agile. We went to a couple of companies in Spain. ING is always referenced as like one of like agile gurus. And then once you start working, you realize what works, what doesn't work for you, because there are some other agile methodologies. So for HR, for people and culture operations, we identified that like these three methods probably are most practical. And then you apply like agile mindset and self-empowerment of the team and agile performance. But normally, I think like good understanding of Scrum,
Does it
good
take a long
understanding of
time? Is it
Kanban,
difficult
and
training
this
people in these
concept of
approaches, or do
like being
people,
flexible,
do
being
your HR
result
people
focused
kind of get
is
them quite
enough.
quickly?
Try not to make it too complex also for us. It's not rocket science, I would say. We had and we still have an external agile coach, which is not McKinsey. We intentionally decided to go for some like entrepreneurial, like practical people who work with different companies, and they organized various practical sessions for us on Scrum. It takes normally 2 days to get like Scrum training, and then probably another like 1 2 days to learn and to pass exams, so you can get Scrum certification. Um, for Kanban, it's also the same training, like 2 days training and then like 2 days preparation to pass exam. But in reality, I think it would take you probably 3 to 4 months to get some initial practical understanding, because one is to get like this training methodologies on paper, but another thing is really to start making sprint planning and sprint reviews. And part of the development of our team, we're also changing the roles of Scrum Masters and Product Owners, because we have different people who volunteer to become Scrum Masters and Product Owners. We make them
Great, thank you.
to
And I
play
think
this
now
role for
one of the
specific
questions is the
projects.
type of skills
Then
that
when
you
there are
have
new
in the
projects,
Agile Ops team, and
we
I think
select new
this is what
people, and this is actually how
you're
we
going to
grow
look at
skills
next.
within the team. Yeah, absolutely. When we selected when we started selecting agile people, we came up with this profile because we first of all decided not to take by default those people who we already had in various teams in Geneva. We thought, okay, let's start from the blank sheet of paper, trying to understand what could be the ideal profile of people we want to have. And we identified this slide, which I find useful, that we want people with right mindset, and you could see examples like making things simple, making it happen, being accountable, one team. Those people who are inspired to be agile, who are comfortable working in fluid structures, who are resilient, who share the views openly, who value stakeholders, who put customers in the center, who are real team players. I mean, good solo performer doesn't fit agile because it's a team performance, it's not individual performance. Then the second one is about impact. You might be super friendly, super team oriented, but if you don't deliver, it doesn't help. Yeah. So for us, we also were looking at people with proven success track. Those people who would be normally like with evidence of previous deliverables, probably high on performance potential, talent metrics, this type of thing, which goes hand in hand with generic skills, change management, project management, business partnering. So this type of skills which are always useful in this consulting environment. And then it goes functional expertise, yeah, because I think the
So that's the M profile.
first two parts might be not P&C HR specific. The third part is really what is already function specific. And we realize that we need to have some people who would be good business partners. We need some people who know talent management, some people who know attraction, D&I, benefits, because we needed to have complete skill set, yeah, in order to be able to deal with various projects. And once we move forward, then we can take people from benefits and teach them talent, and that's part of the development, but it takes time, yeah. But in reality, you need to have good setup of the team covering multiple functional skills, and these are the skills here on the slide that we identified. And how it works that we there's the M profile, and how it works that we published that profile openly. We made open job posting, internal job posting in JTI, and we started selecting the best people who
Fantastic, thank you. And I think we have a question in here. How do
agile,
you reward staff based
join,
on an
not only from
agile
Geneva,
approach?
but also
If you
from
provide
location.
bonuses or incentives, are they based on individual performance,
And we
team
intentionally
output, or a
relocated quite a few
combination of
people,
both?
also to bring diversity to the team, because the idea was not to have everyone the same nationality. We have some people from Asia, from Iran, from Americas, definitely from Switzerland. So it's a mixture of people, a mixture of different backgrounds. And intentionally, we also brought around maybe 20 to 30% of people not from HR. We brought like one lady from communications. We brought a couple of people from digital IT. So just like trying to bring some fresh skills and some fresh views on HR. I wouldn't say that we have really very segregated individual rewards. It's very much linked to.
And I think the final question that we'll take on the agile sort of team role is going back to development. So the question is regarding the development sponsors that you mentioned a few minutes ago.
And your
are they
grade
trained
is
as
defined, as you remember, by your skills,
or are they mentors? And this person as said, it sounds like you may have an internal coaching model that you use.
From your individual. So if you want to if you want to progress within the agile, you need to have three things. You need to grow your skills, and this is why people, they're eager to move around and to step in unknown areas, because this is how they can grow skills. Another element is about good performance, which is evaluated by team feedback. So you need to be a team performer. You need to contribute to the team. And the third element is about soft skills. Yeah, it's about like general behavior. And soft skills, which we call
Great, thank you,
soft.
Sergey. And now I
So
think something I'm really interested to hear about
progress,
is
you need to have
your
these three
role in all of
elements.
this, because
And
obviously
once you
this is,
progress,
I think this
it
is
is
a
also
significant
reflected
sort of
in your
new type of
compensation.
role
So we
that
don't
is
as such
coming into
reward
HR. So
like
tell us a little bit
specific
about
like
how you
contribution to the
lead and
project,
manage.
but we rather evaluate you regularly. And if you're a good performer, if you grow skill, if you become more mature, then we just like move you up to the next level, and automatically it increases your rewards. So that's our approach to rewards. To be honest, I would still say that they play probably more role of mentors, because we intentionally take them as somebody a little bit more senior, and also how we select them. It's a little bit like both sides matching. It starts with agile team members. They indicate what kind of development areas they have, what kind of functional skills they want to grow. Then they also can apply what kind of sponsors they want to have. Then I go to the sponsors and try to negotiate who is available, and that's actually how we make the match. And the idea is to have somebody who can really help you grow. And because they're more senior and normally they bring some experience that people need, they would naturally play more roles of mentors than internal coaching.
Mm.
Thanks. I have the next slide, which is a bit heavy. It comes originally from McKinsey, but I think you will be able to download the presentation so you will see it. To make it short, first of all, I play the role of servant leader. It's a new concept which I'm learning myself. So it's not really to give tasks, but more to remove obstacles and to empower the team. And my role is really to make sure that the team performs and that each individual is empowered and the team is empowered. In reality, um, what I do, I have several main duties, I would say. The first big element is much about managing the team. Yes, it's about these 28 people. I have at least monthly individual catch-ups with them.
Actually, Sergey,
We have
I'll
like
weave
team
in one question
retro.
here. A
We
question about the
discuss
Agile
like
team.
team
Is it in one
performance.
location, or
We
are they
set up
dispersed? And so when
all
you're
these
talking about
elements
bringing other
about
people
skill
from
set,
different
agile
parts of the
career progression,
organization,
making
how
sure
does
that
that work?
everything works, the development sponsors identified. So it's much about team and empowerment of the team and creating this culture of agility, culture of empowerment. The second big part of my job is about I would say making sure that agile operation works. So yes, the team is empowered and they know like what needs to do, but I also manage stakeholders, right? And this is where I deal with my colleagues on the leadership team to reconfirm strategic priorities, to discuss what we need to do first, to challenge some things, and this is a big part of my job and probably the most difficult. Yeah, because we're not used to say no. I never say no, but I can say not now. And I can also be more transparent, saying, okay, so that's capacity, and this is like 5 people that we have available. What is the best way to leverage these 5 people? Is it your project or is it someone else's project? Let's sit together and discuss. And this is a mindset which is changing. And then the third element to me is much about like promoting agility and agile ways of working. Here it is much
Actually,
about
I will weave in another quick question
not
about that
only
because
being
someone is
agile
asking, is
within
the
our agile operations,
Kanban
but
board
also to promote
online, and
agility
what tools are you
outside
using to
agile
communicate with
operation.
the team? Because
Because
obviously this is a very
if
strange
you take a
time, and
real
I suppose
project, let's say we want to
changing
develop
processes.
new performance management or new leadership program, probably there will be some people from strategy that would join my team because we need to have specific expertise. So we need to make sure that they understand agile and they follow methodologies. We might need to have somebody from finance, which might be less agile. So we need also to make sure that we explain how it works. So naturally, the border is very difficult to identify. And all these ideas with like agile coaching, trainings, and promoting agility within PNC, it's very much also what I'm trying to do.
Okay, great. So we have now just 10 minutes left, Sergey, and I think that we're going to move on a little bit
The
to
initial
talk
idea
about,
was to have
if you're
all
ready to,
people
some of the
in one
lessons that
location,
you've
and we are
learned.
all in one location. We are all in Geneva,
So perhaps
and
we can
it was a little
kind
bit
of ask
symbolic that we will create agile space, and we created that agile space, yeah, like with more collaboration space, so with like no separators, no offices, really like making space where you can like put this like big Kanban boards and put stickers and brainstorm and make design thinking. And it was a good start, but then COVID happened, right? And we went all to work remotely. And now for the last, I would say, in reality, 6 months, yes, we could be in the office once in a while, but we work remotely. Even like year-end meeting and virtual wine tasting we have over Zoom, yeah, tomorrow. So I would challenge this concept that in reality, maybe this team might be in different locations and maybe this team might work remotely. But what is important? It's important to have this team spirit, yeah.
Mhm.
And you need to have this bonding, which is a little bit difficult to get when you don't see each other at all. We had luxury to know each other before, yeah, and that's actually what helped us. So hopefully we'll go back to the office. But probably yes, you can once there is like a bonding in the team, you can have people working. Yeah.
Mm.
We use MS Teams, which is internal communication platform for us with
Just a
all
question,
this like
really. I
MS Team
mean, I
meetings
know that
and
we're
chats,
hearing a lot
normally
about
chats,
servant
less
leadership,
mails.
and it makes sense hugely.
And
But
there is
that's a
like
big
groups
shift,
and
isn't it, for
group
leaders?
chats, and I see that
And I mean, it's a different way of leading. Is that something that has it sort of been natural for you, or what have been some of the adjustments?
like stable teams working on projects, they communicate on their own chats. We use Trello for projects, and we use service now for Kanban, which probably is not the best one to be honest for Kanban, but because we have GBS and we have some requests that we received from GBS and some requests that we moved to GBS, for us ServiceNow is just the easiest to be used. Yeah, as technical platform.
But where does sort of accountability and responsibility lie? Because obviously you've got a very big team. You've talked about these teams agile, as self-managed. You're a servant leader, but where does that point come where the delivery, the performance of the teams, whose responsibility and who is ultimately accountable for that?
I think it's one of my last slides. Two slides. Two slides, I think. One is about the concept of servant leader. So if I can talk about my challenges and my learnings is that I rely a lot on the team. Yeah, and my role is really to make sure that the team is empowered and team performs. To make it happen, first of all, we need to have right people in the team. And to me, it's much about like high performing team, and that's probably one of the best things which we did. We hired people, those people who wanted to try agile, who made conscious decision, and who were good. And here we were looking at like talent metrics, performance, all the things which we discussed. The second element is that you need to acknowledge that probably
because I think sometimes people
you come
sense
to
sometimes
Agile, you work for several
you go
years
to more
in
flexible
Agile,
working
and
projects and teams that somehow there's a
there
loss
was a
of
question about career
accountability. So
progression.
that's very good to hear
We
that.
could see that
And I
from
think
Agile that either go to
in the last sort of 5 minutes that we have, Sergey, obviously nothing is perfect. There's no panacea. So what have been some of the good things? What are some of perhaps the drawbacks or the challenges of this new structure and going towards more agility?
And legal and marketing, but probably it's not good if you see in Agile for too long and forever, yeah, because it should be this dynamism and fresh energy. To me, the healthy balance probably should be like 60, 80 people, I would say like more stable, like experienced people, and maybe some like 20 to 40% like newcomers who we can bring from markets or even from outside. We don't do it a lot, but why not? Yeah, just to have this like right mixture of the team. I think mixture of skills and experience in terms of combination of hairstyle profiles with different like M. You remember M profile different legs, and I think the more people know, the more interesting it is for them, and the stronger we become as a team. And the last element is about overall background diversity and diversity of individuals. And yeah. I'm learning and the team is learning, to be honest. I probably was never like super formal and super like status oriented. And what I also learned that it's fine to say I don't know and let's discuss together. And it doesn't mean that I'm better or I'm more clever than I was selected for that role. Let's brainstorm together. But it's also to empower the team to make decisions. Sometimes I intentionally say that, guys, I don't want to make any decisions.